Before he was the White Wolf or the Butcher of Blaviken, Geralt of Rivia was simply a fresh graduate of Caer Morhen, stepping into a world that neither understands nor welcomes his kind. And when an act of naive heroism goes gravely wrong, Geralt is only saved from the noose by Preston Holt, a grizzled witcher with a buried past and an agenda of his own. Under Holt's guiding hand, Geralt begins to learn what it truly means to walk the path, to protect a world that fears him, and to survive in it on his own terms. But as the line between right and wrong begins to blur, Geralt must decide to become the monster everyone expects, or something else entirely. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. And no, your eyes do not deceive you. You are once again welcome to Witcher Reviews, where I talk about the books of the Witcher series. Because, yes, 5 years after I first debuted the series, I decided to make another addition to, I made another addition to it. And that is also because there is a new book in the Witcher series, which I have right here. Or rather, I almost have right here, because this collection is now incomplete. Or it has been incomplete since the ninth book came out, and it is an opportunity, and I had an opportunity even back then to talk about it. However, I already had my end of the year reading list done by that point, and so and I didn't really feel the need to change it. So instead, I decided I would wait for the week of my birthday to finally talk about the ninth book of the Witcher series, or the Witcher saga, which is Crossroads of Ravens. Written, of course, by Andrzej Sapkowski, and translated, as usual, by David French, who I have to say, I'm not really familiar with Polish, but he does do a very good job at I think preserving what it is that makes this book interesting and captivating. But anyway, I'm done talking about things that I don't know about. I'll talk about things that I do actually know about. Namely this book, the second full-length novel that also unambiguously counts as a standalone. And it is somewhat weird for a series to have standalones, plural. But then again, maybe this isn't really a series, this is a saga, which happens to have a series inside it. We can debate that at length at some point. The more important thing here is that this is the first book or perhaps the only book that takes place at the very beginning of Geralt's career, before he decided to add of Rivia to his name, thereby also making it the only book that doesn't feature Dandelion or Yennefer. Is that everything that is different when it comes to this book? Well, my impressions in summary are, regardless of anything else I say about this book, it was very refreshing to read about it. The clarity with which Sapkowski presents his text, and then the depth and narrative texture that he is able to share with his audience is very refreshing and very engaging. The ways in which the world is described are second to very few, if anyone else at all. And the level of detail and relatability that he is able to bring to the descriptions of the setting and to the ways in which people work within it are very interesting to behold. That being said, the story of this book is a little bit thin, so it doesn't really match the heights of the saga, but it does stand as a very good representation of what it actually is to or what it actually feels like to delve into the book, or into the books, plural. So if you so if you've been burning up for that pseudo classic literary fantasy that also that also delves a little bit more deeply into the um, into the world and focuses on presenting it as much as it is about presenting a story, well, then I can safely say that this book has you covered. And now that I've covered my broad impressions, it's time I delved into some specifics. The plot of this book, though admittedly a somewhat thin plot, follows Geralt at the beginning of his career as a Witcher, covering roughly the first 2 years of it. And it is within this time that, even though he has some understanding of the craft of the Witcher, and also the fact that some people are going to be dismissive or outright hostile to him, it is within this interval that he truly learns how uh, duplicitous, exploitative, or simply unabashed or unashamed some people can be. And it is through these experiences that he learns to actually engage his brain a little bit more, and really analyze a situation before he effectively jumps into it, in such a way that he can not only in such a way that he can perform his task better, not simply as a monster slayer, but also as a caretaker of the society within which he lives. And that is a lesson that he learns throughout several storylines over the course of this book, or rather episodes over the course of this book, as he as he comes to learn with how people's agendas and plans can intersect or interfere with each other, and therefore putting him in a difficulty when it comes to understanding how it is that how he can most effectively fulfill his duties. Now, I did say that the plot is a little bit thin, and that's really because this particular book does something that the later books of this franchise do to a sizable extent, in the sense that there are various asides that are told from the perspectives of other characters, which don't really cover the story itself. They don't really cover the story of the book itself, but rather are there for a variety of other reasons. We'll get into those soon enough. And while they do have their purpose, I do have to say that they do end up cutting into the plot and not making the immersion really feel as solid as it could have been. This doesn't really, there are times when this book doesn't feel like Geralt's story, but rather it comes across as a story that Geralt is in. And that's a rare impression, but it is still one I get when I read through this book. When it comes to the characterization, I do have to say that is done a little bit better. With a lot of and plenty of the emphasis actually comes in the way in definition rather than development. That is partly by necessity, because as I've already said, this book takes place at a time when Geralt doesn't have his typical supporting cast around him. So what supporting cast has to come in needs to be developed, and therefore new characters need to be established with their own particular traits and interests and various other characteristics, which the book, I will say, does quite well. Presenting the characters within the setting or within the segment of the world where they are most comfortable and most functional, so to speak. And while these characters do not go through a lot of development, they don't really need to go for any of that development. They are just there to assist the lead, Geralt, within his story, when it comes to him arriving at the realizations that he has to arrive at. As for Geralt himself, it is fair to say that he does receive the lion's share of attention when it comes to characterization. I have to say I appreciate how Sapkowski was able to regress Geralt. He still has a lot of the same mannerisms, approaches, and insights that allow him to still stand out as recognizable, but there is enough naive idealism and and raw initiative and rough edges to his character that make him believably come across as a younger version of the the guy that readers of the saga have been following so far. And it is many of these rough edges that he is learning to either stand away or deal with as the story progresses, or rather as the narrative of this book progresses, thereby giving him uh, either all or most of the development that is present within this world, or within this book. As for the world building, well, that is very much as good as it has ever been. I've already said in my review summary that the clarity of the descriptions really allows the depth and texture of the content of world building to really stand out. But beyond that, and beyond that, I also have to applaud the level of relatability and immersion that results from this that results from this world, from its from its various geographical descriptions, its features, how these are how these form uh, how these form not necessarily a cohesive whole, but how they pull together, how it is that they connect to each other, and and when it comes to how the administration of these various parts of the world and of various aspects of these parts of the world ends up uh, ends up being connected, how it all how all these factors relate to each other, and how all of these factors are relayed not just to the audience, but also to Geralt as he is learning to navigate between them. I I also have to uh, uh, I also have to praise Sapkowski for how he is able to build uh, Geralt's reputation, especially even this early within his career, giving him something to be, giving him and showcasing the start of his legend, the start of his renown. Though it does contradict a little bit some things that occur in the established books, but or at least that's my impression. But it still comes across as a very it still comes across as a quite interesting piece of uh, piece of lore, and something that is presented in a very interesting manner. Overall, while I find that the plotting of this book is a little bit too light, what is done with the with the world that this book is presenting, nevertheless manages to hold my attention, and is presented in a very eye-catching and very immersive manner. One that I've one that I very much found myself being being energized by, and finding quite enjoyable, quite stimulating. My final rating for Crossroads of Ravens is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the book itself or to my review of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and The Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective master links in the description down below. Right past my social media links, which I would suggest you check out should you choose to. And given I have a third book on the way, and I may have some updates on it by the time this video comes out, now might be as good a time as any for you to choose to follow me on social media. I also have a second channel where you can hear me talking about whatever else crosses my mind, that'll primarily still be related to narrative analysis, but of works outside of the print medium. So if that sounds like it could be of interest to you, then I suggest you go ahead and check it out. If, however, you want to hear more about my thoughts on the print medium and selected works therein, well, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog, where aside from an embarrassment of riches when it comes to book reviews, I also do book rewriting videos, writing advice videos, and videos on miscellaneous connected topics. So if that sounds like it could be of interest to you, then I suggest you go ahead and check them out. If that doesn't interest you either, if none of my YouTube offerings sound like it could be of interest to you, then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was it for me. So until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.